afternoon around Australia, or at least in Queensland, WA, and the NT. I'm Dante St. James, and we're going to be looking at CapCut today. So if you've never looked at CapCut before, this is basically a simplified video editor. So you can chop things up that you've recorded, you can take them and transition things between them in different formats, add your captions, all that sort of thing. But it is limited with the things you can do in the free version. So you can't just do unlimited captions like you probably might like to do, but you can use it for many other things. There are some costs involved. It is 100% free to do most things, but if you want to sort of do a lot more stuff, well, you may need to do a little bit, pay a little bit more just for access to that particular tool. For those of you who already had it, you might learn a few things today that you haven't noticed before. Let's get started. So today we're going to cover a bit of an orientation around the free versus pro stuff. So I'll take you for a walk around the particular layout of the app to see what it does. We're using the desktop version of the app, not the mobile version. The mobile version is a little more limited again, and more so for doing those very quick reels. For those of us who have fat fingers and prefer to work with a desktop with a bigger typing implementation, then that might be a bit better for us. Importing, trimming, transition, we'll look at that. Text, filters, and captions that are going to sort of add a little bit more pizzazz to some of your videos. We're going to look at music backgrounds and color using the included things that are in there already. And we're going to look at exporting and resizing and working with different kinds of outputs for different kinds of formats, whether you're putting it on YouTube or TikTok or wherever you're putting it, doesn't really matter. And they've got a bit of an action plan for you to keep it going into the next several days. But first of all, we've got to understand that video is pretty much the internet these days. It's roughly 3/4 of everything that we're doing online these days. Now, it isn't about a format that sits alongside photos and text. For a lot of people, it's what the default is for them to be on the internet. And that's 73% of all the traffic on the internet is video. Now, of course, that's going to include all the streaming platforms too. So it's not that it's just TikTok and Instagram Reels. It's also Netflix and Disney Plus and YouTube. Three numbers you will want to look at is really worth remembering that 71% of people decide whether to watch or keep watching that particular video that they're seeing within seconds. Like within a few seconds, they've decided whether they're going to watch the whole thing or not. What that means is then that first 2 to 3 seconds is going to be absolutely vital when it comes to your ability to be able to keep people going for the rest of the video. You've probably heard this before, that between that 2 and 3 seconds, I'd say on some platforms like TikTok, it's less than a second. It's just, as it passes up, if it doesn't immediately grab them within that half the second to a second, then you're not going to bother seeing the rest. But 90% of marketers report a very positive return on investment from video, which is great. It just means that short form content specifically generates much better returns on any video length. Now, what they call a positive return on investment often isn't money. It's often views, engagements, followers, that kind of thing. If I had to look at this, I would say longer format video does far better for me than short format video when it comes especially to being able to work with people who are looking to buy what you're selling, particularly if that's a service rather than a $5 widget from Temu. Very, very different kind of audience that is. Then that in short format video, it gets 2.5 times more engagement than other kind of long form videos across every platform. What engagement means essentially like, shares, and follows and comments. Not things that make you money, just like, shares, followers, and comments. So engagement, very different to money in the bank. I would say it's probably the opposite when it comes to money in the bank, but the longer format videos tend to be the ones that lead to more. But a 30-second CapCut can easily outperform a very long, polished, highly produced video for engagement. Again, engagement doesn't mean dollars in the bank. Now, you don't need to be a videographer. You just need a couple of seconds because the editing quality, your visual quality isn't what moves the needle, especially in business results. It's the audio is very important. People will forgive terrible visuals as long as the audio is clear. What they won't forgive is not being hooked straight in that first 1 to 3 seconds. Everything in the session that we're going to look at is built around that one fact. Free and pro, a bit different. In the free, you get the normal track outline. I'll show you that in a sec. Keyframes, chroma key, filters. If you don't know what any of these things are, that's okay. We'll have a look at that. Exporting up to 1080p, which is high definition television kind of level, but not 4K. That comes in the Pro pack. So Pro gives you a bunch of cloud storage as well, so you don't have to store it on your computer. It allows you a much larger lot of commercial music that you can add to your videos. And you got 4K export, so you're producing pretty good stuff now. It's going to look insanely good on a big television. And you get a lot of premium AI tools, included unlimited caption generation as well. So pretty much everything is included in the free. You will be able to use some auto captions, but only up to 10 minutes per video. But in Pro, you get unlimited. So there's a lot extra in there you get. Before we look inside, just a little bit of a orientation around the desktop interface. So you got over on the left, number one, that's where all your imported clips live. So anything you've imported from a Zoom call or something like that, you can drag it into the timeline, which is down in number 4. Number 2 is your preview window. This is where you can see what your video looks like. Over on the right, we've got the text and captions, so you can control different options. After you've got like your rough cut, you can then go over there and run the filters, captions, change the text that's going to be on your captions, all that sort of thing. Down the bottom is your timeline, so you're going to see where you can sort of split things up, chop it up, all that sort of thing in a left to right timeline from start to finish of that particular video clip. So have a look at what that looks like now. I'll just quickly pop into there. Should still be able to see that, making sure that it is shared. Yes, it is. So this is the desktop. I got it at a particularly high resolution, so I don't always have it at this size. Sometimes I'll have it a bit smaller, so it's a bit smaller to use on there, but let's fill out the screen so you can see it. When I go to create a new project, that new project produces that layout we're talking about for where everything's imported. Let's make it a bit bigger. Everything's imported. You've got the preview window here, and then you've got some controls over here. Your timeline's down the bottom. I haven't got a video in there at the moment. To do that, I've got to click import. And then from import, I can look for the video that I want to bring in there. So if I try and look for one that's in here, let's pick it up from a previous webinar I've done. So we can say my building web apps with Claude webinar that was ill-fated the other day, that kind of fell apart at the end. I've now got this. I can sort of preview through it so I can see what that video looks like, me waving my hands around. What we can also do is drop it down here. And I've got it down here now. So that's where I can go a little bit closer to that. So watch down the bottom as I then use my pinch zoom on my trackpad. You can do the same on others just to get in closer. So I can tell, for instance, there's nothing happening as I'm sitting there waiting for the camera for the zoom to kick in. So I can trim that by grabbing that thick line at the left, dragging along to there, and that's immediately cut off that beginning. So in this case, we're now going straight in there. Come back again. And I might want to go, okay, I don't want to do all this talking. What I want to do is get to the point where I'm actually sharing the screen again. So I can share the screen, which I'll get to as I'm scrolling along back to here. And where do I go in the screen? Right there. So I click there just above it. I can then point to the specific place that I want to cut this at, right there. So I've got my marker there. And then I can grab this edge now and do that close up again. It gets rid of all that stuff at the beginning and jumps straight in to the point where I'm sharing my screen. You can see all that, right? I can do the same at the end as well. If I want to go here and just get it so it gets before I come onto the screen. So again, I share it there and I can grab the edge and drag it in. There we go. We got that. So that way I've done a trim. Now, I've also got some gaps in here. So as I make this bigger and smaller, you can start to see just below here. I'll try and make this a little bit bigger so you can see more of the screen. It's a little bit hard because it's a very big screen to be viewing it at. Maybe if I just close this down a bit and make the overall view a little easier. So we can go, there's a gap I can see within my, my audio between here and here. So I may want to take out that gap. So I'll click, I can mark where I'm going. So there, over on the left here, I've got these little lines. You can see the split. That splits it into two pieces. So you can see this is one clip, this is another. And I can pop in here and do the same. Split at that spot and then split. And then I've got this dead bit in the middle. I can just delete that. And now it's going to jam together those two pieces. So that's the basics of the interface. Well, you'll notice that I'm in one of these clips. I've got a bunch of controls over on the top right hand side. So that top right hand side, I can do things like remove the background, I can mask it, retouch it if you know what those things are. What I can also do is mess with the audio. What I've found is my audio tends to record quite hot, comes through quite loud. So if I've got that clip selected, I can go to my audio tab at the top and do a thing called normalizing loudness. So it makes it all at a default target level that's generally really listenable for any kind of online video. Really easy to do. But if I had music coming in, for example, that's where I could go even further and start to like fade it in and fade it out. So if let's just say this piece here is music that's going to be playing at the same time. I can't make it much bigger, sorry. So that's not the way this kind of interface works. Try to make it, here we go. No, this makes it further out. I just want to make it actually easier to read for you. So if I see down in here, I've got another clip, I can fade that in or fade it out. So it might start off at full volume and I want to fade it out. I'll click on the audio again and fade out. I set the amount of time it'll fade out over. Now, what you can't see without it being really, really obvious to you in this interface is there's now a line that fades out in that top one there. So that's really, really hard. I can't actually go in, zoom in any closer. It only just zooms in closer to the timeline. But you can kind of see maybe there where you can see the little green lines, they become flat and then all the sound goes away. So again, that's really hard to see in there. Makes a lot more sense. What I might do is see if I can switch this over to not a dark mode. I want to make it into a light mode. That might actually help us. There's a whole bunch of different things in here. General, I want to make updates performance. I don't want that. What happens, most people who are working on video like to work in dark mode, and I've just never really changed it. So it's just something you'd need to change over to change it out of dark and light. I don't even know where you can or whether you can, but I've never done it before. So I'm guessing that you probably can't. But it's got that ability for you to operate in these options over on the right. In there as well, we've got things like voice changes and a lot of these things. As I bring that down to show you what that looks like. These voice changes allow you to have things like echoes, different environments such as large room, small room, any of those kind of things. And then adding things like voice characters so you can change the nature of the voice into like a radio announcer. Most of these things you see have got little purple marks on them. A little purple mark means that it's something that you have to be paying for CapCut to get. But you've got a few in there like Suave Gentleman, Freckled Lass, Mellow Pilot, and Silky Diva, and Cabin Guide, and Velvet Deluxe, or Velvet Duke. Free ones you can use, and even Happy Kids. So it'll change the voice. So I don't know if this will come through, but I'll do the voice here as me. Get rid of this one. Here we go. Test. That is the app that we've been working on. So if that's coming through, great. I hope it is. If it's not, then I can change that audio to the, let's just say the voice character of the Freckled Lass. And it's going to make the change. So it's just applying that voice about 10% of the way through. So I should be able to do it at the beginning. Go into my file manager, go into the files that I was working on before. Not quite yet. It's still just applying that voices, and it's going to put that voice in. So it sounds like it changes my voice into, I'm guessing, a young girl's voice, which will be a little entertaining, but that's probably not coming through. Zoom tends to cut all that sort of stuff out. So it makes it a little bit harder for you to be able to hear that kind of thing. You can play with those. You can speed things up to different levels. This is particularly useful if you've got just video, you're trying to, fast forward certain bits of it, or if you want to, cut it up and go, I want to fast forward between here, split, and here, split there too. And in here, I want to make that faster. I can go into my speed and make that a lot faster. So it makes it shorter. So as I'm going through here, it'll go normal speed, and then suddenly it sped through it. And then I can then say, for instance, cut that down and remove the background of the sound. So I can remove the sound in there by just going to audio again, and then basic, and turn it down. And then I've got, it's talking, and it's probably, if you can hear this audio, you'll hear it's now fixed up and done that girl's voice. And it'll come in again with the voice.
actually all the backwards and forwards I had to do to get.
That's pretty amazing AI. So it's completely changed my voice. And in case you didn't hear it, the replay will actually have it there. There's now playing everything I said in the way I said it, but in a different voice. So it's completely changed the voice. So really, really interesting if you're trying to reach different markets that aren't perhaps having an Australian accent. You want to have an American accent or a British accent or something like that to reach a different market. That could be something you could use and change a bit. So that's a little bit of a walk around it. What we can also do in here is I've got the 3 clips here. I've got clip 1, clip 2, and clip 3. At the moment, they just sort of jump. They don't have any sort of smooth transition through them. Up on the top left, you'll see transitions, and it's going to load me a whole bunch of different transitions. Some of them are free, like Blur Slide and Polaroid Spawn. So I can take that transition and drop it between 2 clips. And what it will do is it'll process a transition. So I slowly start going along here. You'll see what the transition does. It's very, very subtle in there, but it's got like a lot of things. Probably need to pick a less subtle one. Let's pick this one here. So if I go across, it's going to do a spinny thing, and then it spins out again to go to the full one. There's some which are a lot more obvious. So this one's a really obvious one. So I press play, going from 1 clip
into.
There you go. And then it's gone into the next clip. So we can have all sorts of those. That's a paid one. Free one could be grid flicker. This is where it's flickering in a certain way. We can try that again. You can barely see it because it's a very light background. If it was a much darker background, that'd make a lot more sense. Some of these like warped drive might make a bit more sense and show a bit more. And so that's where you're going to have a little bit of really fun stuff going on between them. This at the moment is showing a video that is in full width. So you'd see it, say, on a YouTube video or something like that, or maybe in Facebook. You can change the shape of that and have that appear in a portrait style, but change the ratio down the bottom here of this preview area. So you get ratio, change this to 9:16, which is mobile phone. You can see it's now vertical. So if I was to place that there, I could then place other things in there as well. I could have one video going up here. I could then pull in another video from somewhere else. Let's just see if we can find another one somewhere else. It's really easy for me to work with. Let's get in the one from the event ticketing using Eventbrite. So I'll grab this one in as well. And I might say, drag this into my timeline. And I'm going to show that video in there too. So I'm going to have 2 videos playing at the same time. So if I go back to the beginning, and press play, you'll see what it's doing. It's going one thing at the top, and then suddenly, something else comes in at the top. There we go. And so I'm going to have multiple things playing at the top at the same time. So we can move those around, have work however we want, move that one down. This one can sit up the top. At the moment, it's not easily moving. So that's the other thing. In the preview window, you can move your clips around. So you're not stuck to having to do it in a special place. You can just do it there. We can even grab another version of this in another timeline and put it in there. So I've got 3 videos stacked on top of each other. So you want to think of how people do this in other places. So here we go. If they're showing 2 things at the same time, or even something of themselves down the bottom, that's how you do that, just by simply stacking those up. Let's get rid of all those other ones. Go back to our standard ratio, bring it back to the middle, and our standard ratio of 16:9, and we're back in the big view. So that's the things you can move around, chop and change. Changing voices, we've done a little bit of that. What we can also do is start to add in captions. And the captions inside, it's a very long video, so I'm going to just cut this video down dramatically so it's not so slow to do. Cut out these other pieces and just work with this one piece of video here, which is about just under 20 seconds long. Might pull it out to a bit longer, 20 seconds. If I wanted to have the captions for this appear in this video, be hard coded in so that like you can see it on TikTok or YouTube or anything like that without people having to turn captions on, I can go to text in the top left-hand corner and then go down to auto captions down the left-hand side. And I can then hit generate. So what it's going to do is look at English language. It's not going to have any bilingual options, although I can do that. I can have 2 lots of captions running at the same time in 2 different languages. We go generate. And this is going to be really quick because it's only 20 seconds worth of content. So it's not going to take long to be able to bring that up. And it's going to generate those captions for me straight off. So you see they're showing down, it's just sort of showing down the bottom. You can't really see them because they're in white. So what we need to do is change them to something that's going to be visible. I can use some of these preset styles over on the left. So there you go. So now you can start to see those captions. So that's just really plain captions. There's lots of different color variations you can use instead. We can use the purple. So if you want it to be covered and really obvious, it's covering up a bit of your screen though. And I can also add some templates onto that or select a specific, say Montserrat font. I want it to appear with a sort of grayish background, or maybe, that one. No, that one. And then I can change the color of the main color that I want to use in there. I can also change the background color in there as well. So I can change that bit and then change the background. Maybe just pick that one and change that one to pink, maybe. There we go. And then that could be my different kind of thing I'm using. I can also make them smaller just by dragging it in on the preview screen there and putting them in different positions, no matter where I want to put that, or spread it out to the full width of that video as well, so that maybe it doesn't have to go in these double lines and use up more space. I just want it to just use up the space that's on here. Because I've got a really light video on the background. It's very hard to spot those little stretchy lines, but on a darker video, that makes a lot more sense. But there's also other templates that you can use that are presets that are a bit more creative and do things like moving from word to word, that kind of thing. So I could use something like this one here, the quick brown fox. So what it will do is bring it up here. You can see it's going from word to word. A little hard to see there because it needs a bit of a stronger background. It could be something like, green colors that we then show it coming up. It's a bit hard to see that in there. So I go in really close, you might be able to see it a bit more. There's some much more dynamic versions. Make it a bit bigger so you can actually see what it's doing. There you go. You see something that's a bit more movement and motion in it. There's tons and tons of these ones. I tend to use the same ones every time. I'll just use very plain ones. There's ones that take up more space. For example, this guy is really good because it actually appears on top of the whole video. So if you've got something which is like not particularly instructive, like I'm doing an educational video, you can see it takes up a lot of space. We don't necessarily want that. We can find others that are like it that maybe have a background. So let's go back into there we go. Back into here, and I can change the template to something that makes a little bit more sense for what I'm trying to do that isn't quite so overwhelming. But things, I like the ones that bring up, a word at a time and then it goes away. So this kind of thing where it, brings up like this, it highlights the words as you're going through it in green. You can do those as well. Naturally, I wouldn't have them that big. They'd be a lot smaller down the bottom and probably stretched out across more of the screen. So they wouldn't be quite that, quite that full on. But that's just an example of how you can change those captions. Now, the captions, auto generation of captions do happen under the Pro. You get a certain amount in the free version, then you run out, and then you have to get the Pro version to do that. So that's one thing, that this particular tool doesn't do for free. Not because it's an expensive thing to do, but just because, it's one of the most popular things they want to do. So they make their money that way. So it's a lot of different ones. You can go to a blue one if that suits you more.
Specific. Yeah.
There we go. And whatever you feel looks good for you. You can also use AI avatars. So this is where, for instance, I can put in the person who's talking and they will talk in those for me. So if I download, I got the freckled lass as the person who is doing my talking. I don't know why, but everyone's hot. Well, maybe not Vito, but everyone's pretty hot. So I'm going to use my freckled lass is going to be Amelia, who's a Halloween person. And so what I'm doing with Amelia is that I'm going to put her over on top of all this stuff. So where are you, Amelia? Come back. So you can see what Amelia's going to do. She's going to talk in time with the things that are said. So this is where I'm using it for a specific person. So I'm going next, and it's going to generate a voice. We're going to go prep girl voice. And these are things.
I wanted to a specific address from there.
So you probably can't hear that on the replay. You will be able to. That's what I want. So I'm going to generate to then take that 20-second clip and do it in a different voice with an avatar who's going to do the talking. So I might throw her over on the left-hand side here, put her here, as an overlay, and she'll now talk. It'll actually say the things that we've said in this. So just in this little mini bit of the clip, I can go.
You wanted to remove a
It's got a couple of voices in it, it's still applying it. So once that does that, we'll then have the replacement for the voice that's in there with her actually speaking the words at the same time as what I'm doing. This is a bit more advanced, and it's really if you can't stand the sound of your own voice. So when you produce like instructional videos that come from someone that doesn't look like you, that's when you'd use something like this. So it's applied that avatar. Let's have a look.
You wanted to remove a
I need to get rid of this voice and just have her voice. Let's see. It's going to go from here and then come in.
You wanted to remove a specific address from
specific address from there.
So it didn't quite get the positioning right. I might need to like stretch it out a bit more and put it in the right space. So maybe here somewhere, I think it's about right.
You wanted to remove a specific address from there.
And then it's done it in time with the words that I'm saying. And you would see that if the captions were there, you would see that as well. So go backwards. I wanted to remove a specific address from there, and it did it in time. It's very uncanny. So that's a weird little thing you can do. I don't know if that's going to be particularly useful for everyone to do that, but that's one of those things you could do as a specific example. Noelle's just asking me, can you do voiceovers? Yeah, you can. You just have to bring your voiceover in. You can record a voiceover. So there's a record method in there too through media. You can import or you can record. So the record, I hit record, is going to come up on my bottom screen and start recording from my bottom screen. But you can't see that on the top screen at the moment. What it's allowing me to do is to be able to record. So it's got to note, I've got to update my notifications to do that, which is not going to let me do. And then I highlight which part of my screen I'm going to record, and that can record that, or you can just put it anywhere and record your voice. They can import it that way as well. The record function in media will let you do that. And then importing it is where you can import something of your own. Now it's allowing me to do it. So that's how you do a recording of a voiceover. The other thing is, can you upload a 2 to 3 hour video to work with into smaller clips? Absolutely, yeah, you can. You can upload the 2 to 3 hour video and work with it and chop it up and do all that sort of thing. There's tools in here that have automated ways for you to be able to go pick out those sections yourself. Or what I could do here, just like I've got a 20-second video here, I can chop this up myself into smaller pieces if I wish to, just by going bang, do my split, come up here, do my other split, and then I've got a smaller video. Oops, I'm going to actually select the area. There we go. Do the split. And then I've got my small video in here, so I can essentially get rid of the rest of it. And I've then got my small video that I'm working with. So drag all that across to fit in with it as well. So then we've got, a smaller clip that we can work with. Liz is asking, can you upload a picture of yourself and then produce the talking head? I don't know if you can. So I think the AI avatars are just fixed AI avatars that are already in there. But if we go into our avatars, AI avatars, script, voice, I haven't done that myself yet. It's got the voice you can select. It's got the video, the script, which is the captions, different levels of audio in there, animation. It doesn't look like you can upload your own, but you can create one. This might be where we do it. So if we go create, there we go. So we can create an avatar with a 10-second video of us or create with photos. So you are right there, Liz. I'm going to load up a photo of myself. I'm allowing it to do that because it's a photo of me. I'm going to load up a photo of my sunglasses. This is really good. I'm glad you pointed this out. This is a really, really new thing. So if I haven't used it, it must be really new because I use this every week and I've never come across this before. So what I've done, I've loaded up the photo of me. It's now creating an avatar that I can use. I'm going to take the old avatar out. I don't need her anymore. And then I'm going to lead this new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that new version of my whole clip. I'm going to break it up a bit. Go here, split, take a bit of a longer version of it, maybe a minute. And then I'm working with my video here. So it's going to be about just over a minute long. It's now working with my avatar. So let's get out of there into my avatar on here. Where did I lose my avatar now? So I probably shouldn't have worked on 2 things at the same time. AI avatar here. So in here, I've done the creating one. I have loaded up my avatar. So it's still creating me in the background. And once it creates that, from what I can tell, it's going to then use AI to be able to be me. Then I also have to do this. There's apps Veed. There's, there's so many of them now. There's HeyGen will do this as well. You can do that as well. So that's what you can do. Noel's asking if it's easy to upload the clips onto social media. Meta doesn't like it coming from CapCut. They don't care where it comes from. If it's video that works, it works. It's not going to put a watermark on there. So it's only when you go make it in TikTok and then import it to Instagram Reels that they're going to have a problem because you've got the little floating TikTok thing going over it. They hate that. If you create it in here, it's just a video like any other video is a video. And Veed, I've seen, oh gosh, there's HeyGen was one I mentioned before. Not Replit, but another thing like that, like Replicate or something like that was where you can replicate yourself into avatars that you can use on there as well. So I've got my avatar ready. So I'm going to insert my avatar. Got my photo there of him. Let's see what he can do. So in he goes. I'm going to go next. Am I going to use a particular voice? I can add my own voice in there. I can add audio. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to use Driven Youth as the person I'm going to use, then generate that. And what do I want them to generate? What I want them to read is I want the actual, I'd have to enter a script here. So it's not actually letting me just use what voices in the background. So I'd need to have a separate script. So maybe if you were working on a video and you really needed to replace it, it's not looking like it's going to automatically with your own avatar pick up what's said in the captions. I'm going to generate some captions though, just quickly, just to see if it will pick up those captions. Because if it does, that makes life a little bit easier with our little generated avatar of me talking on the screen and that lovely photo of my green glasses. Oh, so many questions coming through. I guess that's good because it means you're really looking at using this thing. It's going to be amazing. And yeah, Liz is saying it'd be great for those no makeup days. I'll tell you what, I'd have a few of those, I'm sure. We go back to AI avatar. Let's insert him again. Go next. It still wants me to enter in a script, and I've got captions, but I don't have a script as such. So that's the problem. It's not going to pick that up automatically. I'm going to have to put it in. And you can set light changes, so light lip movements or a very expressive moving face. So I'd probably do the expressive because I do a lot of expressive movements myself with my face. So that's we can insert him in there. We can generate, but it's got nothing it's needing to generate. You'd need to enter a script in there. Whereas the previous avatars where you choose from their library, so you go from their avatar library. So we go back to the beginning. Then we're not having to work with generating scripts and all that. What we're probably going to do is, rather than photo avatar, we'll use their library of avatars, and which is going backwards. I'm kind of stuck with where I am. Video to avatar, fashion models. We can redress things. We can add different dresses and different clothes. There's a lot of AI tools in here that you don't necessarily need to get that involved in before it becomes a little bit silly. So we've got our trending avatars like Santa. That is because it's already built in their system. That will work without a script needing to be used. I can say Harold the podcaster doesn't need a script. He will just read what's actually in there with a voice. So if I generate that, it's selecting a voice. I've got to go, I think Alex is the voice. Let's generate. And again, it wants me to put in what it needs to read. So it's one of those things where it's going to do part of the work, not all of it. Some of them will do a lot more. But if you've got a transcript from what you've already recorded and you want to do that in a better voice, that's where you use it. But again, it won't sync it necessarily with the video, with what you're doing on screen, but it'll get close. You can have the captions as transcript, but you have to get them out. So if I went into my captions again, to animation speed adjust, where are you gone? Everything's moving around. Go into my generated captions, which I've already got. There we go. I've got to get these out. I've got to somehow export these out. So what it's doing is like giving me tools to be able to work with it, but not necessarily be able to get those out. I'd have to find a way of like highlighting them all in some way. But if you've got another way, if you've got a transcript, that's probably the way you could work with it a bit more successfully rather than using the captions that it generates as a transcript because it doesn't have a way of exporting that out. We've got the text here, but that's each individual text rather than the whole captions as a whole. So that's a bit of a limitation there. But look, honestly, this is not the sort of stuff you're going to be doing every day. It'd be cool. The everyday stuff you're going to be doing is getting long videos, jumping them into the timeline, chopping them up by selecting the parts where you want to chop them up. So splitting, Using transitions to tie things together. Again, I've got a very light one here, so it's not going to really show that clearly. But if I go and get something which is going to be a very obvious one, like Helix Showcase is a perfect example. Throw it over the area that I want it to jump over and then go, let's see how it works. Prior to it actually going on, lapsed on me. And then if we go, that was actually quite well timed with the voice, just to, because I was taking a break at that point in my breath. So you've got all these different things you do. You can add different effects to things. There's stickers you can stick over your thing. So, you know, if you want a happy little cat over there, you can stick the happy cat over there as well. Stick it over a particular part of the video. So happy cat only really appears over the beginning and then goes away. You can add, you know, different effects that you want to add on as, you know, little added things you want to add in there. Like, for instance, if you're being very entertaining about what you're doing, you could do that. Liz is asking if you can edit the captions. Absolutely, you can. Click on your captions. And then over on the right, you can go, and I go into my file manager. You can say, and I go into my file manager. And if you go, no, it's actually manager, you can change that, and that will change what then appears in those captions. Can't see the captions at the moment because I have a very light kind of text on there. So let's change that around to something that's much easier to see. There we go. So if I change that, this one here, which is currently at, and that's the app we've been working on. I could say that that's the app. Get back here. I get those place names all the time. So I'm using place names. It just does not do Australian place names particularly well. If they're not something like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, it'll kind of play with a lot of Indigenous names in a bad way. So that's something you can do in there. This is a really light look at CapCut. There is so much more you can do in there. You can add in music. So under audio, we can find music. Some of it's free. You can just kind of see the little purple things on those album arts. The self-aware here from Temper City. Let's turn that down a little bit. So I can insert that in. So I can go plus and then insert it into the timeline. It's got a bit of a, if it's got more length, I can stretch it out. This one doesn't, and it goes for about 30 seconds. There's some of them go for longer, like this one's 3 minutes 26. So it's a lot longer to work with. I can drag that along, put it under my video, trim it down to the length. And then because that's really loud compared to my voice in the video, I can then take the volume and bring that down, right down. So it's just like a background music that's going in the background. They're for free unless they've got the little purple mark on them. So what you tend to find, short ones are free, longer ones tend to be part of the paid things. Can you upload a series of photos, maybe 10 to make a video with your voiceover? Yeah, you absolutely can. So what you can do is grab your videos in the media importer. You can import not just, I see I've imported I can import like a logo, for instance, and throw the logo over the top. And so if you can throw in logos, then you can also throw in a photo as well. So import a bunch of photos. Gosh, I don't even know what photos I've got in here apart from my screenshot. Photo of Juliana, who I work with. Import those. And then I can go, okay, here's me. And then in there, I can have like, just treat it like it's like a plane. You can stretch it out for as far as you want to. Let's say, throw in Juliana as well. I'll make hers a bit smaller because it's not quite right. I need to get a better photo of her. That's terrible. Looks so fake. And then I'll be able to drop in any photos after that into that timeline, and you just cut off where you wanted to cut it off, and then you can have your voiceover sitting down the bottom. So if you had your voiceover, you'd either record it in here or import it from elsewhere. You'd import your audio, or you can load up a video that had that on there and extract it. So you can import the video and extract just the audio itself. So it's not just music, it's voices as well. There's AI music in there that you can describe a specific kind of loop. So you can say, I want a drum and bass loop that's low energy and ambient with a couple of tech sounds in the background, and it'll create that like Suno does with creating music. Same kind of thing. Again, all these AI bits are going to cost you credits. So currently we're going to generate 1 minute of instrumental music because I've only got 1 minute of video there. But that's what's saying down here is it's only allowing you to do a minute. So you can upload your own music. Please do not upload copyrighted music because you become part of the problem of why music gets stolen. So yes, load up your own if you own it, but owning it doesn't mean Taylor Swift music. Because what will happen, you'll go to put that video onto YouTube or putting it onto anyway. If you don't own that music and you put it up on something like Instagram or TikTok, they'll flag you and they'll mute it out anyway. But if it's Suno, you've made it somewhere else, yeah, download it and put it in. That'll be awesome. You can definitely do that. So yeah, Suno or Udio is the other one that does that as well. If you've got already got an account with them to do that sort of stuff. When you go to say, let's say we're finished with this, we want to export it. We've got the option then to export in certain resolutions and then certain frame rates. So what I tend to do for short videos that are vertical on phones is that I'll send it out at 1080p. I'll send it up to 2K and then change the frame rate from 30 to 50 frames a second. It's just a sharper image. And it just looks a little bit better on phones and on bigger screens. But most of the time, 1080p is going to be just enough at 30 frames per second will be enough, particularly on something like YouTube, if it's only being watched on a laptop. If it's going to be watched on a television, you want to try and get it a little higher. 4K, not necessarily, maybe 2K, and at 50 frames per second will be enough to make it look really sharp and really nice and very clear when you're on a large screen like a television or a big jumbotron in the middle of your entertainment center or something like that. So it's going to look a lot more clear. But the bigger the screen, obviously, the higher the resolution you should go to. They've got up to 8K here. I don't think any of us are going to be using 8K. And once that exports, you can then use it wherever you want, export it out to whatever you want, and that's how it works. You've also got the option too, when you export, to set it up to export out to certain places. So once it finishes this creation, it gives another screen in here, which allows you to post it directly to TikTok, because TikTok is who owns CapCut. So just in case you're wondering where it's from, TikTok owns it. So that's what you're really working with as a TikTok tool that makes it very easy to send to TikTok. It has the ability to send it off to YouTube and I believe Instagram as well. It can post directly into them. I don't like to do that. I like to use my own posting software just so I can send things to different places in different ways at different times rather than just going, send it everywhere. And then everyone gets to see it. That is a really brief look at this. What I'm going to do is send you through the beginnings of the slides that I was showing earlier. And plus I've got an interactive guide with lots of tips and tricks in there that'll help you with that as well. If you've registered online, which a lot of people did over the course of the 2 reschedules we had to do with this, I'll have those sent through to your email address over the next hour or 2. Thank you. Really short one today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Give it a go. See what you can do for free. And if it's something you feel like could be really good for you, then go for it and start to create things that you can create within the free version. And if you need the paid version, well, go get it. At the moment, the paid version depends on whether you're already in it. I'm paying a lot less because I'm grandfathered into a cheaper rate, but it can get a bit pricey around $200 Australian mark. So just make sure this definitely is the thing you want and you're going to use it a lot, because it can really add up when there's a lot of very free things. You can use Canva to do a lot of this stuff too, just not quite to the same degree and quality as what you can do in CapCut. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one of these.